Our speaker this morning is Brigadier General Christopher Walker, who is the Assistant Adjutant General and the Commander of the West Virginia Air National Guard. General Walker's current federal duty assignment is also with the Assistant Secretary to the Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Manpower and Reserve Affairs. He provides input and oversight concerning laws, regulations, and the policy of human capital to ensure mission success. He was born in New York City, New York, and began his Air Force career in 1988 as a graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy. Brigadier General Walker is also my personal favorite, for he is the general that commissioned me as a second lieutenant. So please give a warm welcome and a big hand to Christopher Walker.
All right, folks. It's a little premature to give me a standing ovation. You're going to have to see whether you like what I have to say or not, and then you can decide whether you want a standing ovation. Here's something I have to say. I wrote down some notes as I was walking around. I came yesterday evening, and I am extremely happy that I did. Because some people were saying, hey, you could just come up this morning. And two reasons that's a bad idea. If I had come up this morning, I would have had to awaken extra early. Two, I would have missed out on what you all were doing yesterday. Now, I'm a confession to make. I woke up extra early anyway, because my circadian rhythm is off, and I'll explain that in a little while. But I'm happy that I came out last night because I got to witness, first of all, I got to meet many of you and talk with many of you, so that's a good thing. All right, and it's never good to have some stuffed shirt come and give you a speech that's probably a retread of some speech that he did before, and try and connect with you and then skedaddle off into the sunset. So first I said, I need to come out here and actually meet you all. And I tried to meet as many of you as I could yesterday and last night. And then, even better, I got to, once people explained to me what Boys State was all about, Chief Chandler over here told me about it last year, actually late last year, and then I got to meet Mr. Jim Davis, or talk to Mr. Jim Davis, and said, all right, I'm going to come out and talk to you all. When is it? Around mid-June? Okay, I'll block some time off for that and make sure that I do it. And one of the things I have to do is run everything by my executive assistant, because I tend to double or triple book things, and then and because I don't like to break promises, I said, all right, we're going to make this happen. But I observed what you're doing here, because I was explained to me, but until I saw what you were doing, it didn't really click. Okay, I was privileged to witness your spirit and your unbelievable teamwork. And when I say unbelievable, I'm telling you, I've been in uniform for 36 years. 1 year enlisted, 4 years at the Air Force Academy, and 31 as an officer. All right? And I'm telling you, God is my witness. I've never seen teamwork and gelling and coming together that quickly, ever. I've been to a lot of different, give yourselves a hand. And right after, I'll step outside and say, God is my witness. And if anyone wants to stand near me, see if the lightning strikes me, fine. But I'm telling you, God is my witness. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I've been to many basic trainings in many of the services, and I've seen junior ROTC, Civil Air Patrol. Let me ask a question. Where's the National Guard? Who are my National Guard guys, all right? So who is performing the flag ceremony this morning? Are any of you all involved in Civil Air Patrol or Junior ROTC? Okay, see, that's incredible, because I've seen Civil Air Patrol and Junior ROTC do that, and they do it over and over again for years and still not get it as crisp as you did it. So that's why I said you all had to have been doing this before. But then I was informed, you all, your marching, your spirit, everything that you were doing yesterday during the ceremonies came from your heart. I kept looking to see, is there somebody being a cheerleader? No, you all were just coming together in unison. I said, holy smokes, there's something about this. And then when it was explained to me that you all are truly the cream of the crop and compete to get into this program, I said, okay, there's one thing. You all have the motivation to be here. And that's part of it, but also you're just the cream of the crop. You all are smart, talented, athletic. You've got it together. And I'm jealous because I never got to have a program like you're going through right now. So I was clueless for many years, even into my late 20s, about how things really work. And you all are not only learning about it, but you're living it. You're getting to see what it takes to have first responders. You're getting to see what it really takes to pass through legislation and compromise. You're getting to see what it takes to have a National Guard go out and respond to emergencies and then report up. And you're getting to see what it's all about with civilian control of the military. So I gotta ask, how many of you are thinking about going to a service academy or getting an ROTC scholarship? Raise it up. There we go. All right. So I'm going to get back to that in a moment because I'm telling you, in my duties as the assistant to the Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Manpower and Reserve Affairs, ROTC, Junior ROTC Civil Air Patrol, ROTC in colleges and the Air Force Academy come under that portfolio. And I'm gonna go and advocate for us to get involved with Boys State, because what I'm seeing here is, I'm telling you, I'm astounded, and I'm gonna have to sit down for a while and write some things down, because if I go in rambling to my boss, who is a 4-star equivalent in the Pentagon, he's gonna say, all right, get to the point. I'm gonna actually write a good paper about this, because I'm that excited about it. But okay, so let me tell you a little about myself. As Lieutenant Loving told you all, and please no booze, I was born in New York City and raised in New York City. And I grew up with a New York City attitude. I don't know if any of you all know what that is, but you may have seen it in the movies. And if you go to visit New York, you're gonna experience it. And so over the years, my active duty years and living all around the world, and I eventually came into the West Virginia Air National Guard. I had a lot of friends who said, West Virginia? What? Why the H are you going to West Virginia? And it would range anywhere from that attitude to the sort of subtle snide, so how is it? But you can tell what they're thinking. And I'd say, I love it. And they're surprised. And here's what I love about it. In New York City, or when I used to live in the Washington, D.C. area for many, many years before moving out to West Virginia in February of 2018, people don't talk to you. In the D.C. area, if people do talk to you, it's always a transactional thing. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that? Let me give you an example. If you go to the Washington, D.C. area, and people around D.C., the first or second question they're going to ask you is, so what do you do? You know why they're asking you that? Because they want to figure out how you can help them and whether you're worth talking to. So when now that I live in West Virginia, when I'm talking with neighbors, when I'm talking with people I meet on the street, when I'm talking to people in the supermarket, that question may never ever come up. I've known people for a little while, and they find out, they say, wait a minute, I saw you in some news thing. Are you in the Guard? I go, yeah. Or they'll see me in uniform and go, oh, I didn't know you were in the military, but because it never came up. All they wanted to do was learn what kind of person I am. In the DC area, my neighbors in my apartment go into an elevator with them. And I look at them and I say, hey, how you doing? And they're like, They'll pretend that there's something on their phone that is so important they can't look up. Or they'll pretend, the numbers on the elevator, on the 5th floor, 4th floor. they'll look at that mesmerized. Anything but saying hello to somebody. That's what it's like there. Whereas here in West Virginia, when I walk around, I've learned, so I ride a motorcycle a lot, and I wear these earpieces that go way into my ear, and then they're Bluetooth, and I play my music. I've learned that here in West Virginia, once I get off that bike, I got to take those out because someone is going to start talking to me. And it would be very rude for me to just be listening to my music. I learned that very quickly. If I were in DC, I could go around all day listening to music because no one's going to talk to you. But West Virginia is different that way. And so it's all going to come to a point here in a moment what I'm talking about. So here's why my circadian rhythm is off. Tuesday night, I just got back from a week in Normandy. I was out there participating in some of the events for the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Now, I've visited France many times before, but I've always gone to Paris. And so I got my impression of French people, and let me say that impression was not very fond, from the people whom I met in Paris. So the biggest lesson that I learned last week when I went to all these Normandy and D-Day celebrations, it was moving. It moved my heart to be around these gentlemen in their 90s and women who were rosy derivatives in their 90s, all out there. And my group, as a matter of fact, was even escorting a former fighter pilot who's 95, and he's moving around. There were some veterans who were in wheelchairs or moving around very slowly, and there were some veterans like the veteran that we were taking care of, Jim Stark, who was moving around more sprightly than I was. But nevertheless, I saw why they call them the greatest generation. Some of the things that they had to go through. If you look at the whole Normandy invasion and all the different beaches that they came on, just in a book and on a map, you will not get the scale. You have to go there. You realize it's about 100 miles long. I thought it was, okay, this beach, and you can just look over and go, okay, that's the end. No. By car, it could take you over an hour to go from one end to the other, if there's no traffic and you're just going straight on the highway. That's how large that area was, and they had to secure it. But that's beautiful and all, but let me get to the other lesson that I learned there. I learned that French people cannot be judged by the people in Paris. The people in Normandy love, like capital L, capital U, capital V, love Americans. And they still come up, and there's those who are alive, some grandchildren and great-grandchildren who hear the stories from their grandparents and great-grandparents. They do not let that story ever die. They will never forget. And they come up and they want to talk. When I was in uniform, they'd come up and talk to me and want to take pictures with me. And even when I wasn't in uniform, people just talked here, just like in West Virginia. And in Normandy area, most of them don't know a lick of English, so I had to kind of take the time and get out my Google Translate and work back and forth with them. And then I was in St. Mary Glace for after the airdrops came in that was the 9th. And they had a celebration and fireworks in St. Mary Glace. And then getting my way through the crowds, and the crowds were like New York City, Times Square, New Year's Eve crowds. I'm telling you, I had to kind of walk like this, and my buddy Woody and I got into this little cafe and got a little rest. After the fireworks, people were leaving. There was this group of youngsters. I say youngsters. They're in their early 20s, but they were doing their best to communicate with us and talk. And one of them was saying, "Hey, my friends and I want to go to visit the United States, and we want to visit New York." And I said, "Okay, that's all well and good." I said, "That's where I grew up. But I'm telling you, this conversation that we are having right now, You're not going to have that conversation in New York City because nobody there is going to have the patience to try and go through and translate back and forth with you. But if you went someplace like West Virginia or the Midwest or South, people would take you in warmly and they would find a way to communicate with you and welcome you with warmth. And that being said, I encourage you to visit other places besides New York so that you don't come away with the impression that I had of French people when I only visited Paris. Now I know what French people are really like. All that being said, I'm going to culminate that all right now. Some of you plan on going into the military. Those of you who raise your hands want to go to a service academy, ROTC, or you may want to enlist. Some of you are going to go into government. Some of you are going to be serving in one way or another. But you're getting to see how all of that works now. Some of you, and again, you're getting a precious education right now. But what I urge you all to do is take all that you learn, and whatever you decide to do, remain West Virginians. Whatever side of the aisle you do politically, that's fine, but remain West Virginians. Because that is the kind of impression we want to give to anybody coming to visit the United States. The kind of people that you are. And I talked with a lot of you last night, and I see this is why I like living here. Because you are special young men. And I want you to remain just the way you are. I don't care what your political view may be later on in life, whatever you do, just remain West Virginians, because that is a good thing. Do not let anybody from New York, Chicago, San Francisco, anybody else try to make you feel like you are less than they are. They're delusional. You are the best. And with that, I want to say thank you for having me here. And I'm going to come and visit you again.